So thinking about your idea, right? What what triggered you to say that this is the idea that we can potentially build a business on?
I think having spent quite a lot of time over the years looking at lots of great ideas, I've become better at identifying the ones that are genuine. And I saw this, and the minute I saw it, I just thought, yeah, I get this. If this does what it says it does, I don't think there's anything quite like it. And adoption, I think, will be very straightforward because people will just understand it. It's sensible AI that people just look at it and they get it.
Mm-hmm. And can you take us through the artificial intelligence you use and what Dragonfly AI does?
Yeah, so basically it uses a mathematical algorithm, which is basically scientific research that came out of a university called Queen Mary's. What they identified is the brain uses 5 neural pathways in the way that we biologically process visual information and prioritize it. Dragonfly basically replicates that. It means that anything you can ingest into it, we can use that formula to show you what the human brain is seeing first.
Great. How did you validate that there is a real market for what you have?
We spent a lot of our early years when we were being kind of nurtured within Black Swan, testing out with existing clients. And we were lucky in the sense that we were in an already operational environment. So it was easier for us to take Dragonfly in to see clients that we already knew for other things, to show it to them and get their feedback. And we found that sort of collaboration in its build out was really valuable. And we've kind of stuck with that ever since. We think the client input is vital to the development of our new features.
And you have a wide range of experience. Do you have advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Well, I'm sure I've got as many things wrong as I've got right over the years. I think, the degree in hindsight is that you kind of spot things a bit easier. I just say, believe in yourself. My fundamentals are work with people you trust and like, and only work on things that you genuinely believe have a value. And I think you can seldom go wrong with that as the fundamental truth.
What advice do you have for industry leaders that are in a position where they can define and set the stage for what future should look like? Do you have any advice given you're working on something that's cutting edge?
Yeah, I think it's a fine line between wholesale innovation and resistance to change. I believe that I think it's probably not my word, but I think we're in the foothills of a crisis that's going to go on for a while yet. I think leaders need to think sensibly, but again, it comes back to the fundamental thought within really powerful leadership is it has to be based on fact and evidence. So make your decisions not based on whimsical emotions or what your son told you or your daughter told you, which is typically the focus group of one we've heard quite a lot about in the past. Is listen carefully, assimilate the knowledge you've got, and then you're paid to make a judgment. And when you make that judgment, you're responsible for it. So own it and deliver it.
And when you launched Dragonfly AI, was there an industry that stuck out that used your services and product the most? And which industry do you think needs it the most?
Well, I think we started, interestingly, in effectively pharma product packaging. And shopper marketing, and that's definitely been a mainstay of what we do. We are now seeing many, many more agencies taking an interest in it. FMCG, I think, is beginning to understand that it needs a new type of relationship with consumers. So, the ability to kind of understand what visual connections you can make with the consumer is really important. I think the industry that needs us most genuinely is probably retail bricks and mortar. If you look at the kind of the forecast transformation of e-commerce and the growth rates it's got, if you're a retail owner in a physical space, we can probably help you quite significantly in terms of engagement. But I think we've all got a long road ahead of us. And my view is collaboration. Connect out there. The best way to market is to connect with other entrepreneurs in other businesses. We learned that from pretty much everything we worked on, from Hackmasters to Dragonfly. It's about the networks you operate in, and it's about your reputation and how you how you basically engage and what you can do to support.
Okay, so looking back, given the Dragonfly is doing really well now, if you could redo one thing, what would be that one thing that you would redo?
I would have done it sooner. Simple as that. Instead of, I think perhaps some of the other things that we were doing, because I think, we worked on a number of different propositions for a period of time. I think, in my heart, I could tell that Dragonfly was the one which was going to go fast. And we could probably have gone a bit faster, a bit earlier if we made that decision sooner. But I mean, at the time, it was exciting working on lots of different fronts, and we didn't really know which one was going to be successful. That we've been working through a strategy program recently, and we have an exercise in it called a pre-mortem, which is basically looking at the principal reasons why a business has failed in 3 to 5 years' time, so that we can then mitigate against those and identify the trigger for when they're maybe showing themselves. And I think, even in a small scale environment in a startup, it's worth thinking about your 3-year plan quite early, not least because when you do start to attract investments, whether that's private or VC or whatever, is you will need to prove that you've thought through not just this fantastic product you've got, but how you're going to scale it, how you're going to grow it.